I once heard Sid Banks describe the universe. And he said, so imagine a circle, and then imagine there's a line across the middle of the circle. And above the line is the world of form. It's everything you can see or hear or taste or touch or smell, but it's also everything you can think. So it has a form. It is observable, knowable, seeable, tangible, even if it's internally tangible. And then below the line, there's another world. And it's formless, invisible, intangible. It's the world that we would call this sometimes the material world, and this the spiritual world. But the problem with that is that we will create form, even of spirit. And we'll go, spirit is like this, spirit is like that. God is this, God is that. We create form from the formless. Now, we do that because it's easier to see. One of the more famous teaching stories is of a man on his hands and knees outside under a street light at night, just like, he doesn't look drunk. He's like, and so somebody comes over, goes, what's up? I lost my keys. And so they're all out looking for, soon the whole neighborhood is out looking for the keys. And finally some little kid comes up and goes, Mister, where did you, my mom always says, where did you last see your stuff? Like, where did you last see your keys? And he said, oh, I don't know, I lost them somewhere over there. Everyone stops and goes, well, why are we here looking? And he said, well, the light is much better here. Right? We look for answers in the form because the light is much better there. It's easier to grasp, it's easier to see. But that doesn't mean that what we're looking for is there. Miracles live here. They come into form, but they come from nothing. Everything comes from nothing. That's a fundamental principle of the universe. From formless to form, from inside to outside. That is the nature of life. So we tend to, if we are looking for the miraculous, we look in the form. We look for the lottery ticket. We look for the story. We look for the person. We look for the job. We look for the opportunity. We look for the circumstance. But the miraculous comes from nothing. It comes from the space before form. The space before the. So when we make the shift from form to formless, we start to open up in a very real way to more coming through. It's like we create an open channel by leaving the form behind. Not forever, doesn't mean you can't enjoy the form. But if we live in connection with, in the feeling of, in the space of the formless, the nothingness, the great nothingness, the fertile void, then we find that what starts to come into being in the form, not just physically, but in our thoughts and feelings and experiences, is enriched, regardless of what it happens to look like. And there is a deeper feeling that we start to live in. Because they're both happening simultaneously. We are all in form and formless right now. We tend to notice the form. We tend to notice, what's this thing? We tend not to notice, except for those moments where we're kind of struck dumb with beauty. Those moments where we catch a baby and go, we glimpse our original formless nature. So sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm spiritual, so I'm not going to be interested. No, the formless is in the form. It's not two separate worlds. It's two simultaneous worlds. And that's what it means to say God is within you. You know, Sid said it when he said, you know, people are always looking for shortcuts. So he said, well, if you can just see that everything is God, everything is formless in form. That's all you need. Everything else will take care of itself. So as we kind of come to our first break, and you know, I'd love to hear what you have to say, but what I want to invite you is to just bring the formless with you. It's coming anyways. But if you notice, you'll have a completely different experience.
Yeah, so this one is, for me, this is exciting and terrifying. So this is what I'm excited about. I'm excited about formless, but there are parts of me that are attached to my forms. And those parts get terrified when I start to hear this stuff. And when it comes to living a miraculous life, the one thing I have learned is you must be willing to let go of form. You create something beautiful, and then the formless comes along and says, whatever was created here that was beautiful now has to change form in order to allow more formlessness to come through. It's really, I don't know about you, but I've got parts that get scared about that. Yeah, I get parts that find it highly inconvenient and very annoyed as well about this, but it happens. It happened to me when I created my first clinic, Stress Busters. It was going brilliantly. It was on the National Health Service. There was everything that was brilliant about it. And then I got an idea to create the Happiness Project. Not now, soon, one day I'm still doing this. The formless was coming through. And eventually the Director of Public Health said, well, we can fund one of your projects. Which one will it be? And the one that had the form was Stress Busters. So it was obvious I should choose that. But the formless was coming through. Happiness, 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 you know. Oh, fuck it. I'm going to have to let go of a good thing. And I'm going to have to go with the Happiness Project. Happiness Project going really, really great. Everything going brilliantly with it. Oh, fantastic. All good stuff. And then you know, it was all going well. And then it became clear to dismantle the Happiness Project. The formless wanted something greater than the form I'd created. And I still teach on happiness, but I let go of the Happiness Project. And it was such a shame because the form was beautiful. And I did exactly the same Success Intelligence. I created a boutique consultancy, which I really think did wow the world. Even if the world wasn't completely aware of what was going on, we were involved in some super enormous projects that had a ripple around the world. And the boutique consultancy was amazing. And then the formless said, you're not here to be an executive coach, Robert. You have done some executive coaching, but you're not an executive coach. You dropped the form. And it was a man, really? Are you serious? Yeah. And so I'm just giving you a feeling for how I think the formless arises over and over again. And it can happen, and it does. I had this happen to me in my first marriage. In my first marriage, I mean, we are dedicated to loving each other forever. And yet we let the form dissolve. Yeah? And it was a form that dissolved so that she could do her thing and I could do my thing. It was incredibly painful and disorientating because it was what we would call a no-fight separation. but we followed what the formlessness wanted to do. And all we knew was that we'd be on track if we could still say we love each other. If we could say that, then we knew we were on track. So the love was the love was the love was the love, but the form was changing. And the form was changing because the formless wanted something even greater than that particular structure could hold. Does that make sense? So we have to say yes to the formless. And it can be super unsettling, super difficult, and also super awesome, super wonderful. Because we're created by the universe, and we're capable of the universe. And the universe ultimately will only want forms to stay the way they are for as long as it serves the universe.